All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're doing today. If I could bring this mic over to me. Pretty straightforward, actually. This is, as I said, I want to try to make sure that $5 tier is getting some love, some attention. Let me turn this up a little bit. Sounds like I'm kind of quiet. There we go. That's a little better. 2-round mock draft today. If you're interested in some draft content. And the biggest thing, all we're going to do, and I'm not too worried about showing you behind the scenes PFF stuff because it's not public and I'm not worried about PFF finding it and kicking me off. And it's a small select group and you guys pay me money, so I'm justifying it for that reason. I was going to do live, but I feel like that's just too complicated. Plus, if I do a live and like 2 people show up, then everybody else on the tiers, 5 and up, don't get to see this. So I'm just going to record it. And again, I want to do 2 rounds and it's kind of just, we're kind of just breaking into this. I have disconnected from the draft almost entirely. You know what else we could do? I wonder if I could pull it up. I'll think about that. I've got some film that maybe we could pull up on some of these guys too, because again, this is going to be a private video, just for you fine folks. Maybe we'll watch a little bit of tape too. We'll see how long this takes. Probably going to take a while. But again, I've been very disconnected from this basically since the Packers season began. I don't think I want these headphones on at all because it's not really serving any purpose right now. I have to turn it all the way down because there's so much echo, and it's just basically making it hard to hear anything. And we're just going to click over here to PFF just to get an insight into what these guys are doing. I do have a bit of a cough, so you're going to have to deal with that because it's not a podcast and I can't pause every 5 seconds. But let's just get started. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. This is compliments of NFL Mock Draft Database. Clicking on here. So I'm just going to let this kind of ride out. And we'll pause it here. Because again, I just want to kind of get an insight into what these guys are doing. So Kayvon Thibodeaux is a very, very popular edge rush prospect. I think he's overhyped, but again, I haven't been paying attention this year. I know he's been getting a ton of hype, so maybe he's kind of revitalized himself a little bit. But in terms of comparison to a lot of the other top guys that we've seen, so 6'5", 258. And again, you can see his grades. These are his year-by-year grades. So 77, 78, and 83. That cough's going to be annoying. But you see the pass rush, right? That's the biggest thing. His coverage is down, so what? Not the greatest run defender, but still, when you compare him to a lot of the other elite prospects, we're just sitting over here in the 90s, and he's just not. So I feel like he's one of those guys that has all the intangibles. He's got all that stuff, but something's missing, and PFF is picking up on it. I want to get my calculator out here so we can get some accurate numbers. But as you can see, 28 pressures, 166 attempts, slightly under 17%, which isn't bad, but college football, I mean, there can be guys kind of in the 20s, possibly. So I'm not going to knock him at 17%, but 17%, 6 sacks. He had 1 3-sack game, which kind of slants it. That's 50%. Every other game, 1-0-0, 1-0-1. A little Earl Grey black tea. So that's Kayvon. Again, good football player. I think he's overdrafted. I think if he goes to the Lions, that's going to be fantastic. The Texans with Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley is, again, I haven't been paying attention to this year, but massively fallen off. He's a huge name that everybody knows and everybody says is a freak, and they just kept on saying it despite the fact that his play had fallen off massively. We'll see what he's doing this year. Looks like he's hurt, first of all. But look at this. This is his first year. This is why everybody's been talking about Stingley and how good Stingley is. Plus, coming out of high school, right? So people keep saying his name, but he fell off. Well, nobody cares. Derek Stingley's still a top 5, top 10 prospect. So far this year, on top of an injury, he started off at a 66 with 2 really bad games, and finally, and look who he played. McNeese? Oh, I didn't even know you could double-click it and get to the team. What? Anyways, I think that might be a new feature. That's never happened before. That's kind of cool. Not a very good football team, and yet still didn't do a ton. I mean, statistically, there's nothing here, but they didn't like what he did in coverage. Point is, I don't think this is so bad that I think it's one of those things where the draft community is still going to keep saying it because it takes somebody with some guts to come out and say, I don't think Stingley's very good. And a lot of guys just don't have the guts to do that. And so they wait for rumors to start that you'll start hearing him, I don't know that he's top 5, and I don't know that he's top 10. And eventually he'll continue to fall, when in reality, this is something that we've seen and should have known for kind of a long time. I would be stunned if he's a top 10 prospect. Whatever. Kyle Hamilton, on the other hand, and we'll see how he's been doing. This guy is an absolute freak. Fantastic football player, statistically just ridiculous. 6'4", 220. You see the grades kind of here in the 70s. The biggest thing that kind of stunned me, 2019 1.3 passer rating when targeted. His stats are just super clean, man. He's a real pure cover guy. I see he's a strong safety / slot / free safety, whatever. The grades haven't been super great this year, it looks like. But consistent, and again, it's the coverage. It's all about coverage for Kyle Hamilton. He's got great range, very coveted in the NFL to have a guy that can go true sideline to sideline. Aiden Hutchinson, very good pass rusher, underrated. It's actually good to see this because for a long time, it was Kayvon and nobody, so it's nice to see at least somebody catching up to him. But Aiden Hutchinson, pass rusher out of Michigan. You can see 45 press. See, this is what I'm talking about. Look at the grades. 80, 80, 94, basically, if you round up. Plus, really good run defender, and the pass rush is there. Now, nobody even knows who Aiden Hutchinson is. I mean, in the casual draft community for the most part, everybody knows Kayvon Thibodeaux, and anytime Kayvon Thibodeaux gets a sack, somebody's going to throw a highlight reel on Twitter. Look at this guy, he's a freak. Nobody's doing that for Aiden Hutchinson, right? Until somebody, which I'll do it, but nobody cares. And by the way, this is how I come to the conclusions a lot of times, not with Matt Corral, but other people. I'll look at things like this as well as tape in some cases, although I think it's usually tape. But occasionally I'll look at things like this. Usually it's somebody's better than or they're worse than they're being hyped is when I'll use PFF. But 45 divided by 227. So again, you're sitting at almost 20%. He's got 7 sacks on the season. And again, he's a run defender. He's a pass rusher. His grades are phenomenal. He's getting better every year. This is a prototype. Plus the 6'6", 265. The NFL really likes those types of guys, the bigger kind of edgy folks. So I don't know. Kayvon probably is going to go first. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Aiden has a better career, but we'll see how it goes. Evan Neal, just a big mauling offensive tackle out of Alabama. You never really know, man. Offensive line is so weird. It's one of those things where you'll hear one person's name, and then it'll be some second-round guy that sneaks into the top, the first round. Then he sneaks up into the top 20. Then he's in the top 15, and suddenly he's the better prospect. But I think I clicked on the wrong one there. I just keep clicking the wrong one. So here you go. Grades out fine. Mostly a run blocker, which isn't great. 6'7", 350. The biggest thing that worries me, and I know some guys can do it, but athleticism is incredibly important if you're an offensive tackle. And when you see that they're better run blockers than pass blockers, and you're 6'7", 350, I would just worry about that a little bit. Obviously, his wingspan is going to be stupid, but statistically hasn't given up a single sack this year, only 9 pressures. He, as you can see down here, all left tackle this year. Last year, mostly right tackle. He also played almost exclusively left guard in 2019. So he's got some versatility, which is also kind of cool. It kind of provides a fail-safe for a GM. Not that they really look at things this way, but it's one of those things where if we swing and miss real hard, if I can just slot him into guard and make him like a Pro Bowl caliber guard, I'm probably still going to catch some flack because I took him number 5 overall, but I'll again, it'll kind of take away some of the sting. Then we got my guy right here, Matt Corral. I've been a fan of his for a long time. You can see his grades are phenomenal. These are his blocking grades. Those are his blocking grades. Anyways, there we go. Very similar. That's why I was confused. But his grades have always been fantastic. There's really never been a point at which they weren't, so that's why I was kind of confused why nobody really liked him, because his tape, from my perspective, looked great, and his grades look great, and everyone's like, no, he's not that good. Well, now he's considered maybe the top prospect in college football. I don't know, man. I mean, that's the information for you. The concern I have for him is he needs to sit a year kind of guy, because you look at the way he plays football. First of all, he doesn't even really have drops. He catches the ball, he stands there, and he throws it, right? So there's going to be a whole footwork thing that needs to get worked out with him that, I don't know, I feel like that may take some time. Karlaftis, edge rusher. Let's see how Karlaftis is doing. 6'4", 275. So again, real big guy. You would expect the run defense to be there. Not as much as you would maybe think. He was actually terrible in 2020. The tackling is also horrible, but 90.8 pass rush. You got to dig that. Look at this, 43. So he's at 275. He's kind of a pure pass rusher. 43 divided by 233, 18%. Only 3 sacks though, so it makes you nervous, right? The pressures are there, the sacks are not. The run defense is iffy at best. The tackling is kind of terrible. At the very least, I struggle to put him top 10. If we're talking back of the first round, sure. 23rd overall or something. I don't know about this. Olave is a guy that everybody loves. PFF usually loves the guy. I just can't get into it. We'll try to pull up a little bit of his tape at some point just to see if I can kind of figure it out. Not super great this year. As you can see, 2 good years here. Let me go to strictly his receiving stuff. Grades are going to be the same, but 3 games in the 80s, 1 game in the 70s. Otherwise, not super good. 600 yards, and you can see the numbers kind of follow the grades here. He's got 400-yard games. So he has some real big games, and this is another thing that happens a lot in college football because there's so many prospects. You'll see, for example, a game like, let's say this one here against Maryland. 10 targets, 7 receptions, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And it's going to be all over Twitter. It's all over SportsCenter. It's all over whatever venue you're watching. And people just get it in the back of their head, Olave's good, Olave's good. And then you don't hear about him for these 3 weeks. He did get touchdowns 3 weeks in a row, which is still impressive. If nothing else, he is obviously 10 touchdowns in as many games. How many games is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. That's impressive. But the point is, you just kind of keep that in the back of your head and remember that he's really good. And maybe it was just kind of a one-time thing. For him, it was 4 really good games, and he gets touchdowns in almost every game, which is still impressive. But I'll have to revisit some of his game tape. I'm going to let it run out. We'll look later. And then we got Drake Jackson, another edge rusher. I mentioned a long time ago when we talked about 2022 prospects that it is a stacked group of edge rushers. That's really where the primary, the bulk of the talent is. That may have some impact on what the Packers do as far as Preston and Za'Darius. It may not, because it's one thing to have like 10 really good top 20 prospects, but if you're picking 32nd and all the good edge rushers are gone, what did you just do that for? Drake Jackson, 24 pressures, 170 attempts. That's not fantastic. 14%, 6 sacks. The run defense is mediocre. 6'4", 250. He's kind of a smaller guy. I don't know. Go to the tape and see what you think, I guess. See if you like the guy. It's always interesting to watch him, and if you like him, but just based on this, again, late first, early second, or second round, cool. But there's a lot here where nothing is super impressive. This is not impressive. This is not impressive. This is not impressive. So I don't know. He does play outside linebacker, so that's something else to keep an eye on. Are you a defensive end or an outside linebacker? And if you're an outside linebacker, how much of this coverage do you do, and how do you grade out in that? Shouldn't matter, but it does. All right, let's let this continue to ride out. And at some point, yes, we are going to do Packers picks. We'll have to do that. In fact, maybe we'll just let this go all the way to the Packers pick before we look at the rest of these prospects here. Again, I know some of you just want to get to the picks and have fun with it. I just want to get kind of caught up because some of these guys like Roger McCreary, no idea who that is, right? Most of these names I've been hearing for a long time. Karlaftis, Olave, Jackson, Kenyon Green, Andrew Booth, DeMarvin Leal, all of these guys. I mean, some of them are higher, like Malik is higher, Leal is higher, Booth is much higher. I think he was like a second-round pick. But you get to some of these guys that I don't recognize as much. Treylon Burks I recognize, but not this high. You get the point, right? So, again, just kind of staying ahead of this, trying to keep an eye on all these different prospects. Who did we look at last? I don't even remember. Drake Jackson, I think. Kenyon Green, interior offensive lineman. One thing to always check with this kind of stuff is where they all line up. So this year, my goodness, Kenyon Green, 6'4", 325. He's played left tackle, left guard, right tackle. Reminds you of Elton Jenkins, doesn't it? At 325, I don't know what exactly he's going to be able to do. He's kind of a short and stout. You know, I'm picturing guard, possibly center, although he doesn't play center. He played one snap at center. I would assume in the NFL he's going to be a guard, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Grades, not fantastic. In fact, his pass blocking grades are somewhat awful. He's given up 8 pressures, including a sack. Last year was 10 pressures, no sacks. And the year before that, 28 pressures. So, I don't know, man. It's one of those things. I would assume he's going to drop off because this is really, really not impressive. But whatever. I'm not going to get probably super excited about him, but go ahead and, whatever. All right. Andrew Booth, cornerback for Clemson. Again, just kind of vanilla, 6 foot 195, nothing super impressive there. 2020, and this is another thing too, where you look at 2020, this maybe is what put him on the map. He had a pretty solid 2020, and it just hasn't really adjusted. Possibly, I don't know. He's given up 243 yards so far. A lot of really good games, 0, 0, and 1 yards given up. But he's given up 2 touchdowns, which isn't great, 1 pass breakup. It just doesn't, another thing is you look at some of this and you want to see really dominant play, and then you want to run off and go watch him. This is just kind of, whatever. DeMarvin Leal says defensive lineman. I can't remember if he's an edge rusher or an actual defensive tackle. Yeah, he's an edge rusher. That's what I thought. Some of these, I tried to reach out to him to say he needed to change some of those, but he said it's kind of an automated process, so he doesn't do that. This is really bad. DeMarvin Leal, Texas A&M, 6'4", 290. So at 290, you better be able to set an edge. He hasn't been able to this year, even though that was what he did in the past. But look at this. 24 pressures, 329 attempts. He's right at, that's not right. That's very obviously wrong. 329, I was going to say, that's not 10%. Delete. 24 divided by 329. 7% with 5 sacks. I'm sorry, this dude ain't getting drafted 12th. This is what makes doing mock drafts difficult, because this is the list everybody's operating off of. So if I don't have DeMarvin Leal go, or if I have him go like 31st overall, people are going to scream because they don't know this. So I have to balance between what I think is actually going to happen and appealing to viewers who just know what everybody else is doing. We got Khair Alam, 6'2", 196. He's fine, but this, again, it's 88, 77, 72. And the thing is, the reason I keep hammering this is I'm sure there's other guys who are going the opposite direction. They were bad, they were decent, and they're doing really well this year. But because this guy was so good in 2019 to put him on the map, he was still good, especially in coverage. I'm pointing at it like you can actually see. Still good in coverage in 2020, so that didn't really drop off. This year, he's been just vanilla, not very great, right? Not super spectacular. Nobody cares. So, I don't know. We'll see. Malik Willis, quarterback. Take a little look-see. Again, there's always more that you can go in depth on this stuff. So, pretty consistent. I mean, it's really only been 2 years at Liberty, and he's doing really well. And this is his biggest attribute, though, and that's sort of a problem, though, also. When you play for Liberty and you have a 76 passing grade, I don't know that I'm super interested. Not to say that you can't throw a football or whatever, but you're good, not great. at the most important thing. I don't care that you have a 95 run grade. I really don't. It's not that impressive to me. You need to throw the ball. If you can also run great, you need to throw the ball. I just don't think Malik is, again, playing at this level, I would just expect better. So Blaine is calling me. I feel like I've ignored all of Blaine's calls recently, but I'm just very busy. So anyways, I cannot do that. Plus, he likes to talk for like 2-3 hours, and I just can't get stuff done. All right. Charles Cross, offensive tackle, is another one that I don't think used to be this high. Charles Cross. Keep an eye on guys like Charles Cross for tackle for the Packers. See, this is what I'm talking about. And again, I didn't expect him to be this high. Look at why. You've got not very good, not very good. Look what he's doing this year, though. Dominant, dude. Look at his blocking grades, pass block, and look at the consistency, right? It's one thing to have an 83 when every other game you're not very good. Week 1 wasn't great. Look at that. This is what gets me excited. Every game consistently just getting the job done. I love that. And not a single sack or hit in this range right here. He gave up 1 sack in his last game, 1 in the one before that. 0 hits the entire year, and a handful of hurries. Total pressures, 14 pressures on the entire year. He's a pure left tackle. That's what you're getting for Charles Cross. If you're looking at the Packers, you can maybe say, well, maybe if you think he can play right tackle, we'll throw him at right tackle, keep Elton inside, fellow Mississippi Stater, and Bakhtiari obviously left tackle. Something to consider, I guess. But if he keeps playing this well, we're not going to get a chance to see him. Jordan Davis out of Georgia. See what our boy's doing. Georgia. This is the other problem, too. Not a quarterback. Not a tight end. There he is. Jordan Davis. Oh. I mean, it's a small sample size, but never mind. Those are blocking grades. I was like, what the heck is that? There we go. I was going to say he was hurt, but he played like 2 snaps each game and was terrible. Got to remember to keep checking those things. Improvement. Pure run defender. Jordan Davis is just a run defender, and that's what you expect at 6'6", 340. In fact, let's do the nose tackle test. 6 pressures. Oh, no. 116 attempts. I guess that's still 5%. I suppose it would be. That's what you get from a nose tackle, man. You get 5%. You're not happy with it, but that's what you get. But the question is with Jordan Davis, can you do the job right here? And he can. So there you go. Jordan Davis, nose tackle. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. Another Ohio State guy. They got a heck of a group there. Yeah, again. Remember to switch it. So, again, fine. High 70s, 80s last 2 years. 687 yards. So he's kind of the other guy. He's more yards and receptions, less touchdowns at 6'1", 192, which still is not overly impressive in terms of, height, weight. But kind of inconsistent here. And again, not just anything super special. This comes down to tape. You know what I mean? If he's going to be a good fit, and I don't really know. It's kind of a JJ question, I guess, what his style is, if he's speed guy, whatever. But as I'm watching this, am I going to watch him? Absolutely, because I'm interested in wide receivers. I always watch wide receivers, linebackers, running backs, the fun guys like that. But, I mean, if I'm looking at PFF, no, there's really nothing super exciting here. Ahmad Gardner, cornerback out of Cincinnati. These are the ones, by the way, that are a lot of fun to use PFF for, because trying to gauge a corner based on anything. Who is calling me now? Screen the call. I want to know what you have to say so I can block you. All right. 6'3", 200 pounds. He's a big dude. I'll put that there so I can see what they have to say. Run defense is solid. I mean, just across the board, what you like to see. Run defense, tackling, pass rush, coverage, kind of do it all. 25 passer rating when targeted. The year before that, 29 passer rating when targeted. He just hung up. Good. Block him. 39.4 passer rating when targeted before that. Statistically, the guy's a stud. He hasn't given up a touchdown in 3 years. 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 15 pass. I'm a fan, dude. Forget the grades. I'm digging Ahmad Gardner. That's one I want to pull up and and watch a little Ahmad Gardner. Again, the grades aren't fantastic, but he just doesn't give up anything. He's given up 87 yards all year. The most he's given up, 18 yards. Again, no touchdowns all year. 2 picks and a pass breakup so far. 25 passer rating when targeted. I mean, you're not going up against premier teams, but what more could you ask for? Especially at 6'3", 200. He's got a big build, tall dude. If this guy has any shred of speed, I don't know how he doesn't go real early. He's got everything. I mean, what is he possibly missing? Even if he's missing certain things, it's going to be coachable things. We'll have to check, if it's agility or whatever, that's not really coachable, but it's more than likely going to be coachable. And even if it's stuff that probably won't be coached up, these guys are arrogant. They're going to be like, oh, we can coach them up. For sure we can do that. Atlanta Falcons taking Treylon Burks. Bing, bang, boom. We might just do one round. This is taking longer than I thought. We'll probably do one round. Wide receiver, receiving grade. Real good receiving grades. Always has been. First year, 70, then 89. This year so far, 86, 87-ish. 776 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's had touchdowns 1, 2, 3, 4. Last 4 games, 5, 6, 7. So 6 of his last 7 games he's had touchdowns. He's had 5 in his last 3 games. Again, it's Arkansas, so it's not the best of the best, but he's going up. I mean, Texas, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn. It's not Ohio State, but it's not. These are good teams that you're going up against a lot. So he's getting the job done. He is a slot guy, 6'3", 225. So he's big slot, right? Coveted position also, big slot kind of position. Something to keep an eye on. Definitely a guy I want to look at. Absolutely. That'll be fun. Drake London, another wide receiver, this time out of USC, going to the Patriots, who keep taking wide receivers, none of which seem to want to pan out. 6'5", 210, big dude. Big-time breakout, 65-70, 91.3. He has 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns. Dang! He's only had 2 games where he didn't have 100 yards, including 170 yards. He's had 3 games with no touchdowns, 2 games with 2 touchdowns. This dude, dang. Yards per reception, 12.3. That's somewhat standard. I mean, it's not super massive deep threat, but he's got to be somewhat of a deep threat. But again, 6'5", 210, getting those kind of numbers. I wonder, here's one of contested catches. So I think he's kind of a 50-50 ball guy, which the thing with guys like this, I usually end up really disliking them because if you can't separate, I don't like you. I just don't. There are some guys that I don't see much separation and they still get the job done. And they do well in the NFL, and I can't come around to that. Other guys, for the most part, if you just can't do it, you can't do it. And in the NFL, you're not going to win 50-50 balls nearly as much. But you can see already 28 times in just however many games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. 28 times in 8 games, they've thrown him 50-50 balls. He's caught 19 of them, which is 68%, which is fairly high. 22 missed tackles forced. So he's a bully, dude. He's just a massive bully. 54 first downs. He had 12 first downs in this game. Dude, look at the targets. I've never seen anything like this. 20 targets, 16 receptions, 12 first downs, 4 contested catches out of 6, 2 missed tackles forced, had a touchdown in the game. That would be a fun game to watch. Utah, just hogging. I mean, just think about Jordan Love had 35 throws in a game. Imagine if 20 of them went to one guy. That's crazy. It's another fun guy to check out for sure. Trent McDuffie, Washington cornerback, CBU, one of, I'm sure, 12. 5'11", 195, smaller guy, grades out phenomenally. 85, 80, and 83. Coverage has always been solid. This is going to be a fun guy to watch also. Run defense, not quite as good. The coverage is cool because he's never had an elite game, but look at his overall grade because of the consistency. Just because of the consistency, it just kind of adds up. 10 receptions on 23 targets for 65 total yards. That's it. The most he's given up was 30 yards. He has not given up a single touchdown. In the last 2 years, he hasn't given up a touchdown. His first year, he gave up 4. 0 touchdowns, 3 pass breakups, 50.8. The 5'11", 195 is going to scare some people away, but you got guys like Jair where somebody's going to look at it and say it's worth it, right? It's worth a look. Darian Kennard, offensive tackle out of Kentucky. 6'5", 345. Look at his blocking grades here. Dang. 3 straight years of just domination. Now, again, primarily run blocker, which I'll be completely honest, if we believe he can get it done as a pass blocker, I'm fine with this. You know how badly I want a road grader at tackle? I know I'm being stupid because it's the second most important thing out of 2 things. But I would love it. I would love a guy that's just mauling in the run game, just to be able to get the A.J. Dillons and the Aaron Jones going at just a next level. Just makes me happy. Again, you got to be able to do it, and he is. He's given up 1 sack, 2 hits, and 3 hurries all year. That's nothing. 6 pressures. Who cares? And he's purely a right tackle. He played a little bit of left tackle in 2018 when he wasn't great. Moved him to right tackle. That's it. He's a road grading, competent, 6'5", 345 offensive tackle. I don't hate this for the Packers. I'm not. I keep highlighting tackle, but it's just because I don't know exactly. For example, wide receiver. I don't really know what those guys do in terms of their style. So I don't really. You know what I should have looked at for Drake London was his blocking grade, but I'm not going backwards. Kingsley Enagbare, edge rusher out of South Carolina. 6'4", 265, 93 pass rush grade. That's clearly, he's a pure pass rusher, but is getting the job done as a run defender this year. 38 pressures, 195 attempts, 20%, roughly 19.5. 4 sacks. All these guys, the sacks are relatively low in comparison, but still pressure-generating monster. He's got good size. He's not like 290 where it's like he's just going to be a Frankenstein out there. I kind of like the 265 weight. That seems to be a really good weight, right in that range where you can still, if you're athletic enough, like a Rashawn Gary, 265, you might as well be 245. But you've got the weight to hold the edge also. So that would be a fun one to check out. Adam Anderson does not sound super familiar. Another edge rusher. Again, there's a billion of them. Adam Anderson, 6'5", 230, so very, very small. Again, he's probably going to be, he's an outside linebacker. He's had 65 coverage attempts, which is really high when you take into account his pass rush. I wonder if he's almost used as like an inside linebacker. I know it says outside linebacker, if that's kind of interchangeable, because the fact that it's almost, it's not 50-50, but that's a big ratio. But he's good at it. He's a good cover guy. 13 pressures, 108 attempts. I can't get it out of my head that somebody might want to move him to inside linebacker at some point, especially at 6'5", 230. I just don't see him as a competent actual edge rusher. Unless you're really, really good. You can see he had a 92.4 in 2020 with 23 pressures on 86 attempts. I think he's an inside linebacker. That's what I think. Tyler Linderbaum. This guy seems to be falling quite a bit. Center. Probably should go to the blocking grades here. But he was a lot higher. And I don't really know why he's falling. It's the pass blocking. That's what it is. Still a 72 overall. And again, I'll take it. If he falls to the Packers and we end up taking Tyler, who is purely a center, which actually is somewhat problematic because we have a pure center. So maybe we wouldn't take him unless we think he can play guard, but he's literally never taken a snap. So it probably wouldn't work. But again, just the idea of just this mauling road grader, 6'3", 290. But the pass blocking is worrisome. Only in 2 games, I guess, but still not great. But he is falling, and it's kind of strange that he is. Myjai Sanders, edge rusher. I believe this is a kind of a pure pass rusher type. 255, maybe not. So pretty consistently decent run defense, dominant pass rush. 34 out of 234, 14.5%, only 3 sacks. Pretty standard for a lot of these guys. Inconsistency is a bit of an issue for me. You look at the 84 overall grade and you love it, but it's really just based on these 3 games. And then it's just, this is most of the year, right? I would rather have good all year than dominant 20% of the year and subpar the rest of the year. I don't like that. I love consistency, and I don't really see a ton from Sanders, at least in terms of the grades. In terms of the pressures, it's pretty consistent. 6.5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, and then 1, aside from the 1. So statistically, it's pretty consistent, I guess. So anyways, that's my J. Good height, weight, all that stuff. Ikem Ekwonu. I do not know who that is. Take a look at this guy. I actually paid for, so I still have them, some flashcards of all these guys, so I'm sure I looked at them at some point. I have them listed as a tackle here, interior offensive line on the other site there. Probably because he is playing left. He's been primarily a left tackle, so I don't know why they called him interior offensive line. He did play left guard a lot last year. Again, dominant run blocker, getting a little bit better as a pass blocker this year, which is probably the reason he's going up as much as he is. Nobody cares if you're the best run blocker if you suck this bad as a pass blocker, but you get that up and you kind of keep this going, and get some tape of just pancaking dudes. People are going to like that. Only 8 pressures on the entire season. Be a fun guy to watch. Sounds like just an absolute mauler. I'm glad that there's a lot of those in this draft class, and I know I shouldn't want that so much, but I just do. Just go get me one of those. Sam Howell was considered the sort of consensus number 1 quarterback. Clearly he's falling. He's almost out of the first round based on this. Don't care about blocking grades. Go to passing grades. Not too much of a dip in terms of his grade. His run grade has gone up, which means if you look at the passing grade, it has dipped quite a bit. 83, 91, and this is last year when he was considered going to be the number 1 guy. That's gone down to a 76. 2,700 passing yards so far, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Big time throws, 5.2%, 2.4% turnover-worthy plays. So I guess since we're getting kind of toward the end, let's look at some of his pressure stuff. Real good when kept clean, kind of struggles under pressure. That's going to scare some people away because you're going to be under pressure in the NFL. It's common, but it's still, you want to see better than that. Some of the depth stuff, deep passing. Usually this is going to be like in the 90s or at least high 80s because statistically, that's where you get a lot of your top stuff. 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, whatever. So Sam Howell's dropping. We'll see what happens. Finally, Roger McCreary, cornerback. 6 foot 190. 90.1 coverage grade. He's always been good. 72, 81, 80, and 90.1. So if you don't really care that he doesn't bring a ton else, he's just a cover guy. Sounds like he's pretty impressive. He does give up a lot of touchdowns, or at least 9 in his career compared to 6 interceptions, 5 last year, which is high. This year so far, 1 touchdown given up, 2 interceptions, 8 pass breakups, 51.4, 275 yards given up. It seems he feels like a guy maybe like year 1 Jair, where it's like you love the upside, but there's also games where it's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? Just kind of a initial thought, I guess. All right, Green Bay Packers on the clock now. We got to make a decision. Got to figure out what we're doing. We've got the linebackers. I'm assuming most Packer fans are going to say, don't you dare get a linebacker. We got Devondre Campbell. We're fine. We don't need it. I want to look anyways. Because the point is the scheme is working, and so we maybe don't really need top-tier linebackers, but what happens if you get one? What does a really good linebacker do in this scheme? So this is what I like in a linebacker, and that is you do all of it. I've talked about how unbelievably rare it is. If you're going to spend a first-round pick on a linebacker, he needs to do everything. Run defense, 77. Tackling, 81. Pass rush, 85. Coverage, 84.5. He has 3 picks and 3 pass breakups on the season, only gave up 1 touchdown, 43.3 passer rating when targeted. He's given up 104 yards. A lot of this other stuff with tackling numbers, 64 tackles is a lot. He also has rushed the passer 104 times this season, got 19 pressures. 20-ish, under 20%, 18, 19%, whatever. So that's another aspect that he brings. This would be a fun guy to watch. Not top priority, but I'm not just going to say that I won't do it. Trevor Penning, offensive lineman. I would like some versatility, first of all. And let's see where he plays. Primarily left tackle. He does have a little bit of guard experience. We don't want a left tackle, maybe a right tackle. Primarily a pass blocker, which I guess I'm fine with. You know what I mean? If that's all you can do. I don't want you to be abysmal as a run blocker, so there has to be some competence there. 6'7", 321 makes me nervous. I don't know why. I feel like if you're tall, you're not going to be quite as agile, and that, I would like you to be. Another linebacker, Nakobe Dean, out of Georgia. Let's see what my guy can do. 6'2", 225. So, this kind of a guy, and the interesting thing here is if you keep a guy like Devondre Campbell, which you never know if that's actually going to happen, but let's just say you've got another Devondre. This is the other guy. This is your Chris Barnes. This is your Oren Burks. This is the guy that the Packers always used to like to go get. I don't know what our new priorities are, but we've tried so hard to find this guy. And what I mean is he's only 225. Run defense is decent. Tackling is decent. But primarily you got a pass rusher and a coverage guy. He's the sideline to sideline, go chase, go hunt. 15 pressures on 56 attempts and a 91.1 coverage grade overall. Again, he's not dominant across the board, but if you got two guys out there, this is your other guy. This is your Roquan, right? This is your whatever, the speed guy, whatever. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a pass breakup. He's allowed 50 yards on the season only, 12 receptions on 22 targets, 22.2 passer rating when targeted is pretty incredible. And obviously, Georgia's defense is just lights out. So that's the kind of guy you'd love to bring in because he knows how to play big boy football for sure. Not doing quarterback. You could argue the merits of it, but I can't. Safety is what this says. This says cornerback. I don't really want a cornerback because, I really kind of don't. It does say slot/safety. I don't know. He's not that good anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. Nicolas Petitfrere. Never going to bring this guy on because his name is obnoxious in French, but we'll look at it. 6'5", 315. I want to see his blocking grades. Thank you very much. Not good. Not super great. So, no thank you. Quarterback, another linebacker. Same old garbage. What about Jahan Dotson? Wide receiver. Penn State. Go to receiving grades. There we go. That looks nice. 85 overall, drop grade 91.4, which means he has just hands. He doesn't drop balls. Fumble grade 84.6. He doesn't drop the ball, period. 932 receiving yards, 13.1 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns so far on the season. 22% of the time he's in the slot, so he's got the versatility. Out wide 77.3% of the time. Might as well check his blocking grades. Might as well. Didn't do it for the other guys, but for our guys, you got to be able to do it. Run blocking, nah, you really can't do it. He's 5'11", 184. He's kind of a smaller guy, which is not usually what the Packers like a ton. Let's see what else we can glean from this. Definitely a solid deep threat. 97.4 receiving grade on passes beyond 20 yards. 9 receptions on 23 targets, which is not a lot. 376 yards, 5 touchdowns. I don't know. I don't think the Packers would want a guy quite like this, although it's probably a guy that I would love a lot. What are we looking for here? We don't want a quarterback. We don't want a running back. What other wide receivers do we have? Let's look at David Bell and George Pickens, and then we'll kind of call it for wide receivers. David Bell, 6'2", 205. He's got a little bit better size. 995 yards, 5 touchdowns. Grades out phenomenally. Can you block? No, he cannot. George Pickens. All right. He is not playing this year, so this would be kind of a long shot deal. 2019 he was when he's really good. 2020 he took a step back. 2021 he didn't play. I'm sorry, I'm not super interested. Tight end, you got Jalen Weidermeyer, however you say the guy's name. Weidermeyer. He's been kind of the top guy for a while, but just, not super elite. Receiving grade, let's see. Let's go to his receiving grades here. 84 overall, which is solid. 506 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. Let's go to blocking. Sure, we'll start with pass blocking. 68, not bad. Well, that was 2020. I was going to say that's messed up. So that's not super good. 51 run blocking, not very good at that either. So he's just a receiver at 6'5", 255. And I don't know that he's necessarily super dominant. Let's see what Trey McBride brings to the table. Start with blocking. There we go. 75 pass blocking, 70-ish almost run blocking. I wouldn't mind getting a, Mercedes Lewis replacement, although first round is way too early for a Mercedes Lewis replacement, which means you have to be able to be a good receiver. Looky there. Looky. Dang. Receiving grades, 48, 76, 91, 95. 842 yards and a touchdown. Now, Colorado State, but still, am I intrigued? Yes. Am I probably going to take a tight end in the first round? Probably not. But I am intrigued. Maybe what we'll do is we'll let this run to the second round and we just won't look at all the other guys because I just, on the off chance that maybe a Trey McBride makes it. All right. Let's look at a couple other tackles here. Options, especially interior versatility, and we will look at interior offensive linemen probably more so because we have more options at tackle, I think, than we have on the interior. No, I don't care about your receiving grades. That's hilarious. Whatever. 6'5", 320, purely a tackle. No thanks. Jackson Kirkland. UW. Decent pass blocking, mediocre run blocking. He does have guard experience, which is nice. So he's got the versatility. Let's look at the interior guys. Zion Johnson, Boston College. Get him hooked up with his old running back buddy. 6'3", 316. Look at that big jump in 2021. See, and this is what I'm talking about. He's a better run blocker than a pass blocker, but still a really good pass blocker. I like this a lot. I know it's first round. I know it's not what everybody else wants to do, but you plug him in, for example, at right guard, Elton Jenkins at right tackle. Well, you could put him at, he played left guard, so put him at left guard. Elton Jenkins at right tackle, Billy Turner at right guard, Josh Myers at center. It's a good offensive line. Again, I don't know if Billy Turner stays, but if not, all the more reason, right? I like, this one might be leading the charge here, Zion Johnson. Let's see. Donovan West. Donovan. Center out of Arizona State. He's played left guard, center, and right guard, so he's got the whole interior covered, which is a big benefit. Not the best run blocker in the world, but solid pass blocking, getting better every year. Hasn't given up a single sack or hit in only 3 hurries, so that's pretty solid. What else do we want? Defensive tackle for show. Got to make sure these aren't actually edge rushers. Perrion Winfrey. Defensive lineman. That's garbage. That's straight up trash. I will never get a defensive tackle. I respect the pressures. 22 out of 192. Never in my life. 43 overall run defense. Sorry. No chance. I will not be taking you in the 6th round. That's actually a lie. I'll take a purely pass rushing guy before that. Not in the first round. All right, let's try again. That's a little better. He's dead at 10%. I don't know that I'm just massively in love with this as much as my guard friend. Decent run defender, decent pass rusher. Great, congratulations. Let's check out, this is getting way down, but I'm just curious. because I want to look at another defensive tackle. Haskell Garrett. See what Haskell brings to the table. About the same thing, slightly worse, not 10%. Edge is definitely important because we might be losing a bunch of guys. And it's also where we're deepest in this draft class, so it's worth looking at. Grades out fine, but it's just because of a couple really dominant games. Barely over 10%. Not massively impressive, and the run defense isn't great. Nick Benito. 6'3", 240. Not super impressive, but the stats and grades are 39 divided by 176, 22%. And he's got decent run defense grades. I just wonder if we're going to take a 6'3", 240-pound guy. It is a different style of defense, so maybe Joe Barry isn't as adamant about you got to be 270, because that is kind of awesome. What else do we want? Safeties. I want to look at safeties. Jordan Battle, because, again, I don't know if Amos stays. In fact, if Roger stays, I don't know if Amos can stay. Coverage is what's most important. That's what this man does best. He's mostly strong safety, but regardless, 16.7 passer rating. Dang. No touchdowns, 2 picks, and a pass breakup for Mr. Jordan Battle. 6'1", 210 is like right in that safety range. That's exactly what you're looking for. The tackling is a little bit more inconsistent. Even these are a little bit inconsistent, but does he have bad days? No. 26 yards. Worst day. I'm digging Jordan Battle. I may do Jordan Battle and hope that I can get my guard friend, Zion, on the backside. That might be what I'm looking for. I like that. Let's check out Brandon Joseph. Check it out, man. Nope. All right, we're doing it. Taking Jordan Battle. Boom. All right, we're just going to let this ride out again. I'm not going to go through all these, but we'll just take a second pick, and I want to see if my guy's Zion is hanging. If he is, we'll just take him. Done deal. Second round offensive lineman, you can't miss, dude. Don't do it. Ah! Bunch of jerks. Bunch of dirty jerks. I'm going to stab you with a rusty pencil. All right. Stupid Ravens. Now I'm going to take a wide receiver. Now I'm just going to take a wide receiver. What do you think about that? I'm going to stick a wide receiver right in your eye. It's going to be the best wide receiver. We're unstoppable. Give me one. Who's going to be my guy? Second round wide receiver. You can't stop a Packers second round wide receiver. Who's my guy? Coastal Carolina is a high risk, but just give it to me. Let's do this. 6'2", 200. Yeah, 90 overall grade, 792 yards, 5 touchdowns, 19.8 yards per reception. Let's just do this. I'm not going to pull up my let's do this. Sell me. Get me excited. Let's see if you can hear this. There we go. I know I can't.
Hiley's had a couple of 100-yard receiving games this year against Louisiana.
Just get me excited so we can draft him. Where's he at? Get off of me. Get off of me. My face, stupid. Next. Let's go.
Read the defenses really quick. Pressure from the backers.
Hit
Coverage over the shoulder.
with the pass interference. Get out of my face.
You get press coverage.
Grab me.
And once again, Grayson McCall.
Too strong.
with the football.
Maribel now in the backfield. McCall
Throw it up to him.
up top in the corner.
Back shoulder. Out of my face.
And that's what you see. You've got your favorite
Stupid.
target against a true. I was tapping you, jumping up and down. I saw it from.
Yeah.
Here it is, McCall stepping up, going deep, has him in,
Wide open. You loser.
Coastal
Get a job.
Likely found a crease.
Go apply to Jiffy Lube.
Hope you've enjoyed this thriller here at Troy. McCall
Wide open again.
has got a touchdown.
I kind of like it. I just like how, I mean, the competition, but just look how he didn't like freak out when that guy dove at him. He has what I like in a lot of guys, which is just a natural ability. He just kind of, it's easy, right? This is stupid. The catches are easy, the running is easy, the avoiding tackles is easy. He doesn't seem to panic. He's not like, when somebody's grabbing him, he's not like, He's not doing like the Eric Stokes thing where it's like, where's the ball, where's the ball? It's just, everything's simple. Nice and easy. Here I go. Yep, got that. No big deal. Football is just easy, man. Come back and get it. Just start running. Not flinching, just running.
Great job by the offensive line. Long developing route and just a.
in the first quarter of their game last week in the win over Georgia Southern. McCall to the end zone, caught,
Yep.
touchdown.
Too strong.
Javon Hiley.
He is strong too. He looks stringy, which makes me a little bit nervous. I have to check his weight, but he just seems strong. Again, maybe it's the competition. He's just killing it on that route. They do that every single time in the red zone.
Hiley the touchdown. 7th this season.
Hiley.
McCall making his second career start. Sam Denmark, the wide receiver, in motion. Interesting, diverse offense.
With Jordy Nelson right here.
First down, that's complete.
With 30 seconds left and still 2 timeouts. Eternity left for Coastal Carolina. Little dump
Chip.
off to a wide open Javon Hiley, his second touchdown.
A throw toward the end zone, caught, touchdown.
Classic Coastal.
McCall looking to the near side. It's Javon Hiley over the middle. Falls forward.
What do you think, Javon Hiley?
Yard line.
Why not?
I really like
Why not?
He gets it to his.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, 6'2", 200. Get him a couple cheeseburgers, he'll be all right. Justin Ross is tempting too, but I'm not going to do it. Boom. Done. Done deal, man. No, I don't want to save it. Anyways, that's it, man. That's it. We'll do other stuff kind of similar to this. We might just do like 7-round Packers mocks and all that kind of stuff. But again, I told you, get y'all some content. There's some content. Have a great day.